Now this video is for anyone who thinks that Sam Bankman-Fried is definitely going to jail for a very long time and justice will be harsh against him. What is happening with Three Arrows Capital and its founders, Kyle Davies and Do Kwon, is a shining example of how individuals can be really slimy and get away with gross mismanagement of other people's funds, basically. So especially Do Kwon, they've been on the run for many months now, and prosecutors and the liquidation lawyers are having a hard time serving them subpoenas. In fact, now the liquidation lawyers for Three Arrows Capital are considering or asking the question, can they serve them these papers via Twitter? Because that is where Do Kwon is active. And maybe not on Twitter, maybe they can reach out to him through his communications of his new podcast that he wants to be launching very soon to pass on Do Kwon's depth of knowledge on belief systems, morality, and life lessons. So basically, if that's what Do Kwon is going through, his life experience of not being reprimanded, not seeing any judgment made against him, what do you think is going to happen to Sam Bankman-Fried? And if you still are skeptical that Sam could get away with it, you think he's actually going to get arrested and have a harsh sentence slapped against him, keep watching, because I'm going to be covering a lot of things that are going to be an argument against that. There is yet another example of how the FTX employees are just trying to brush off everything, all of their connections to probably one of the largest failures in cryptocurrency history. There's been plenty more before them, but this is definitely getting a lot of media attention. And just obviously there's a ton of money involved with this one as well. One of the former FTX executives is already fielding investors for a new cryptocurrency startup that he wants to launch. They're looking at a $6 million and a $60 million valuation. So he's ready to turn over a new leaf and see what else he can create and hopefully not destroy in the cryptocurrency space. And that is my warning for you, is that all of these people who have, there's many people in cryptocurrency who have recycled through their failures or scams, and they've benefited from this amnesia that happens in the cryptocurrency investors. Or maybe it's not amnesia, maybe it's just a new crowd of new investors that come in every couple of years during a bull market. They can capture that new ignorant money, let's be honest, and build a new reputation for themselves. So this FTX executive is already trying to play up that. Do Kwon is certainly trying to do that as well. And I think Sam Bankman-Fried is definitely, FTX is not his last attempt at trying to gain success in cryptocurrencies. If you don't believe me, here is a tweet from Maxine Waters and her sentiment towards Sam Bankman-Fried. She says, Sam, SBF, we appreciate that you've been candid in your discussions about what happened at FTX. It must have been very difficult for Sam to talk about this hardship that he's gone through, right? Your willingness to talk to the public will help the company's customers, investors, and others. To that end, we would welcome your participation in our hearing on the 13th. Too bad everything Sam Bankman-Fried has been saying is a lie, a distraction, basically anything but taking responsibility for his actions, his direct actions, and knowledge of the mismanagement and the ultimate loss of $10 billion, okay? Also to that effect, Nick Carter, he says on Twitter also, Sam isn't behaving like a renegade who is ignoring the advice of his lawyers. He's behaving like he has a world-class crisis management firm and legal team constructing a very specific and deliberate public narrative. And if you're skeptical about what Nick Carter says, refer back to the Maxine Waters tweet I just read out to you. Again, Maxine Waters was commending him for his openness about what happened to FTX. What world do we live in? Here are some great responses to Maxine Waters. Lawrence Leopard here, he says, hey Maxine, don't expect any straight answers. How about you ask Gensler and the New York District Attorney why he has not been arrested on suspicion of securities fraud? Because you guys know he's in the club. He is so in the club. And Library has possibly the best reply ever on Twitter. They say, "Hey Maxine Waters, we'd like to be treated nicely by the government the way criminals like SBF are. Can you let us know how much to write a check for and where to send it? Feel free to DM me if you want to keep this private." Perfect example of the blatant corruption happening between those who are trying to persuade the masses' perception of cryptocurrencies, and obviously this interest in trying to facilitate regulation as being the savior of crypto that we all need. That is completely a false narrative, and decentralized platforms, decentralized networks, and peer-to-peer transactions of cryptocurrencies, they don't need regulation, they need code, they need self-regulation. And being an intuitive and educated investor, paying attention to these types of narratives that are trying to be imposed upon you, I just am trying to encourage you to think independently and try to see the other side of the conversation. Maybe someone doesn't want you to know. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. My name's Heidi. This is Crypto Tips.